Karibu Kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure. So, we're in another episode of Msasa, and today we have a guest that I am very eager to share with you his story. This is a guy who has been in a lot of places. Na kusema kweli, I'm very lucky and blessed to be one of those people who, for the past 15 years or so, 15 years or so, I've been able to see jinsi gani maisha yamempiga Msasa and how, he's aging like fine wine. This is a guy who's been in radio. He's been on TV. He's a host. You've probably heard him or seen him. He's a man you know, and if you don't, you probably don't know that you know him. Our guest today, Seba.
Thank you very much, Alicia.
Karibu.
Asante sana. I'm happy to be here, by the way.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you still go by Seba the Warrior, or is it just Seba Mwaikambo now?
Seba the Warrior is like an imprint that won't leave me. It's part of my skin, like my name. The best thing probably that happened to me was Seba the Warrior, by gaining a character that saved me and possibly helped other people as well. It could be a lot or a few, but in the work that I was doing.
If you were to shoot a movie about yourself, what would the title be?
Wow, the title would be... Now that's interesting. The title would be Enough.
Enough?
Why? Because I've thought about, I don't do tattoos, but if I would ever get a tattoo, it would be enough, because it talks about a journey and a life where whatever you think, whatever you do, you'll always be enough. You will always be enough. And enough in the sense with your work, with your life, with the people that you're with, you're enough.
Wow. You've thought about this before.
I've thought about the tattoo.
Where would you get the tattoo?
I mean...
In your arm?
Probably my arm, but if it were to be a movie, translate to a movie, it would be enough.
Okay. And if in that movie, what kind of stories would you show or share?
It will be a multifaceted story. It will be very... You asked me about the warrior, and a lot of people think about a warrior has to go to war. But for me, a warrior is a person that saves themselves and saves the people around them. Now, saving is different elementaries now. You're looking at joy, you're looking at the pain, you're looking at life flashes that happens every day. So like when you're going on air, that's the first thing that I learned on radio, theater of the mind, and you're talking to one person, even though there are like 62 million people in the country. And luckily enough, you're working on national syndicated radio,
right,
where like millions of people can listen to, but you have to talk to one person. And you don't know what this person is going through.
Yeah.
So maybe you're doing a primetime show. It's like from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And people are coming back from work, people coming back from school. Long day, heavy, crazy. And what are they thinking? They're thinking of relaxing. They're thinking, they're having this conversation with a friend, and they haven't talked to this friend in a while. But
this is what they're listening to.
This is what they're listening to.
Right.
And what does this friend have to say? Mind you, let it be. I might have my own stress back at home. But when I'm on air, the fader is on. I'm talking to that one friend, and I have to make sure I help them by saving their day.
Wow.
You had a long day. Talk to me.
And then who saves you?
Wow. I mean, that's where you have family. That's where you have friends. That's where you have your fallback plan. That's where you go back home and say, I am enough and I can do more.
I really like that movie. So
you like the movie?
I like the movie. I like the movie because I thought about it the wrong way the first time I heard it.
Yeah, like enough, we're done.
Like I've had enough.
I've had enough.
No more.
Yeah.
But enough being I am enough.
Yes, I am enough.
Is it safe to say you're an extrovert?
I consider myself an ambivert, but people think of me as an extrovert.
Yes.
I don't think I am, because I'm not usually the life of the party. I'm not usually the social. I'm not usually the social butterfly people think I am. An ambivert is a person that rises to the occasion.
Right.
So I rise to the occasion based on context. Like, we gel, we get along, and we understand, like, we share similar values. Like radio, like you're on, the frequencies are out. Not everybody will capture them.
Yeah.
Few people will get them. Luckily, God help, more people will get it, but not everybody. So being an extrovert is not just being loud, but rather being in a space where you can accommodate a lot of things at the same time. And I'm not that person, but I will rise and I will fall depending on the occasion. So that makes me an ambivert.
That's very interesting because I would not have thought of you that way. And knowing that I've known you this long, I would very much categorize you as an extrovert. I would also categorize you as the life of the party. So if you talk about rising to the occasion, my guy, you rise all the time.
I'll take that. It's
all the time.
It's one of the many hats I wear, though.
Yeah,
I'll take that. But we'll talk about this later on. But I have learned the art of being off. There was a time I was so on and on and on and on, and I realized, Seba, get back to the drawing board. You don't have to be on. Who are you pleasing? You are enough, and you just have to be yourself. So I fall back and I turn off. When I'm really not into the conversation, the alignment, the lifeline that's going on there, I just go off. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm just going to be still. It's an art, by the way, where you don't really have to piss off the other person, but you just speak your truth and be still. But you know what?
You don't fight it.
I'm not going to fight it, but this is not what I am feeling at the moment. So I allow myself to be at that particular moment.
Could you tell me about your childhood?
Interesting. Ups and downs in the sense that I was a very animated child, I would say. Animated in the sense that I love fantasies and love comics. And I grew up reading a lot of things, watching a lot of things. Because I think for me it was an escape plan where I would fall into a realm which doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. Like you're watching, for example, I grew up with a lot of, like Michael Keaton movies, like the Christopher Reeves, where you're Superman, you're Batman, and you're like, you know what? I can change from Bruce Wayne to Batman. I can change from Clark Kent to Superman, because if my current reality isn't making sense, then it can make sense if I wear a different hat. Do I make sense? So I was an animated child, which I was really good with books, I think, because I loved reading. I still love reading. I don't read as much as how I used to be, or I used to do it, but very talkative. And I think a lot of people used to think I would be a movie producer or director because of my animated thoughts. But thank God I turned out to be what I am today. Yeah. So I enjoyed life. There were some downs in the sense that, sometimes you're hit by books, the same thing that you love, like you love it, but it can hit you back. Sometimes family, sometimes health, sometimes things that draw you to a dark side. But then you find that little happy place as a child and you're allowed to play. That's the beauty about being a child. Growing up and you're adulting, your inner child is usually confined. But as a child, you're allowed to play.
Yes.
Now, when you're growing up, you're usually trying to find that inner child to let it out and speak more, especially...
Most of us stuff or hide or...
It's the hustle and bustle of life. This is the work-life balance
scared
that we're
dream.
talking about. We're scared to dream and we're scared to be.
We're scared to fall as well,
But if you listen to that voice, the same voice that told you could be some form of Shaka Zulu, Nkwawa, if you're in Tanzania, or whatever chief or whatever warrior that you looked up to, and fall into that realm or that space. If it helped you back then that could be your lifeline as an adult right now, where you know what, I'm enough and I can be where I want to be if I follow the steps of this particular warrior or person that I kind of looked up to as a younger guy. So it was a lot of ups and downs, but we made it through.
Was it a big family?
Very extended. I grew up in a very extended family. Well, so my grandfather, this is a story that I don't usually mention out loud, but he had a couple of wives and he had wives and a couple of concubines. It was allowed back in the days. It's still allowed in certain places based on culture. And he was a chief. So
he's definitely not Christian.
31 kids. Christian on paper, but he was more cultural.
Yeah, cultural.
So more than 100 grandkids. I don't know which number I am.
Whoa.
But I knew my dad was like number 8 or 9 in terms of the kids. So I grew up with a lot of uncles and aunties and brothers and sisters and cousins. So with them, you're allowed to pick and choose personalities that you like. So you still remain to the core, but tomorrow you're with an aunt who just came from Tukuyu, Mbeya, and you're talking to them. And, as a child, you get to absorb certain things, personalities and behaviors. And you're like, okay, today there's a bit of a heavy tone in my accent. My mannerism is changing a bit. And tomorrow you're talking to a fun uncle.
Yeah.
Probably works in town. Has been working there for like 2-3 years. And you get to understand their rhythm and their tenacity.
Yeah.
And then you have a brother, probably who's more hip, and the other brother who's more R&B. So one day you're Kisingeli, the next day you're pure classic.
So you were exposed to a lot of personalities.
A lot of personalities.
Okay.
It made me, honestly.
Which is actually kind of what I wanted to ask you. Did you know you were going to be in radio, or did it just sort of happen?
Radio, like I said, being animated kind of showed me what I wanted to do, but it didn't drive me to where I was going.
Okay.
But it showed me. I don't know if I make sense. But I remember I was in high school. And I was in high school and I was talking a lot. I used to talk even back in O-level, back in secondary school. They used to call me Baba Ushauri. Because I was usually like a prefect or a monitor or like a chairperson of the class where I'm just standing there trying to give everybody hope. And, like, in a way, enough has always been resonating with me, but I never got the word enough, the context. But as I reached high school, I was an entertainment prefect. And
Entertainment prefect.
Well, I used to love making people happy because I think... I wouldn't say I'm the most altruistic person in the room, but one of my biggest joys is to make sure people are happy. Like, I would feel bad if I make you feel bad. So the opposite being, I want you to feel good. And that will bring me happiness as well. So back in high school, I used to do a lot of talking, and people used to come up to me like, you're kind of good at this. I used to be great at books, but I wasn't the best talker on stages.
Okay.
Then after moving forward, I think I finished high school and I realized, what, this could be my path. And I followed suit, went along with my passion, pleasure, and pain, triple P. And it made me. And here I am today talking to you.
So how did you get into radio?
I got into radio. I think that's, by the way, one of my biggest achievements in life. I was just done with high school. And I wanted to get a day job. I wanted to get a job just to give me money.
Right.
Real fast.
Yeah.
So I started teaching. I started teaching adults at a certain place where I was teaching English and computer.
Tuition, no?
Not tuition. It was like an adult education where you're teaching people after work hours. So I used to wait for my clients. I used to get like 8 students every day. I teach them English and MS Word and Excel and whatever, like just the basics. So like that transition where you wait for like 6 months, waiting for my results, which came out, and now I'm ready to go to university. And there was an audition where, now this is on TV. One day I'm watching a certain channel, I don't know if I can mention it right now, East Africa TV, Channel 5 at the time. Like
Channel 5.
Channel 5.
Yeah.
So,
it used to be Channel 5, yeah.
Je, unaweza kuongea? Je, una mvuto? Je, unaweza kupangilia mawazo yako? And bloody yada, 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 yada.
Yeah.
Basically, they were calling out auditions.
Yeah.
And this is 2009, and people are being called to go to a very big audition, and more than 1,000 people. My number was 343. I will never forget that number.
Whoa.
And I went into that line. It was supposed to be at 10, and I was the kind of person that will reach. I'm still that person. I'll reach at 10.
Yeah.
But people arrived there from like, I don't know, 8 or 7. So my number was 343. Next thing you know, I went to that audition and I talked. I remember the first question that was 2009, Barack Obama just won, which is the first country that he went to in Africa, which is Ghana. And I answered that question. And I thought, I didn't get a call for like a month. And
wait, so they just asked you a random question?
Random question. They asked me, like, that's the first question that they asked me. And the guy that was interviewing me, Bush Baby at the time, who was one of my role models. I mean, I used to hear him DJ.
Yeah.
He used to talk. He was really cool and slick.
Yeah.
So he asked me that question and he heard me talk because I talk. Next thing you know, it was quick because they had more than 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And basically what you get is like a minute or two. Then I left and I didn't get a call for like a month. And I was so sad because I was like, one of my triple P's, which is pleasure, passion, and pain. Like the pleasure part wasn't there because now I was feeling sad, but they never called me back. So I lost. So after a month later, they called me back for the second interview where I had to do the voice testing.
Yeah.
And the screen testing. And I asked like, it took a month, but may I ask, why did you call me back? In my head, I thought with what I answered at that particular interview, but they told me you have a very interesting voice, of which kind of didn't know my own strength.
Okay.
At the time, listen, I'm in my early 20s. probably 20. And I am still trying to figure out this thing called life. And I'm there trying to get this job, putting on my best foot forward, or probably my best mind forward. And the first thing I am told, Kwamba, you know what, you sounded good. And I felt dumb at the moment because they didn't really focus on my head. They focused on my throat.
Right.
But I left kind of happy because I went through the second and the third edition. So out of 1,000 people, long story short, I was one among the 5 people that were selected.
Nice.
You know, that for me was...
selected to go to Channel 5.
Channel 5.
Right.
Now, from there, out of the 5 people, some people were chosen for TV, some people for radio.
Okay.
And I was told I have a radio face, which I do accept, by the way. A radio face isn't bad because it means you can tell a story for days.
Right.
But if you have, TV face, good for them. As in, they are expressive. People want to see the bravado.
Yeah.
But me, you want to hear the theater of the mind, which I want to display.
It's very open. Theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind. Yeah.
So that's how you got into radio.
That's how I got into radio. 2009. This is 14 years ago.
How long were you in radio for?
I've been on radio for like 10 years.
So it was
10, 8, it's like in between
East Africa.
East Africa. Then I went to Clouds Media Group. Where I worked at Choice FM. And I went to Classic FM.
Yeah. You interviewed me at Choice, I think twice.
I've interviewed you, by the way, when you just got back from Tasca Project Fame.
Yes.
Yeah, I
much more innocent.
I look back at my Facebook, I see when I was posting you like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
I was a fan, still am.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, so now you are in marketing promotions?
Fast forward, 2019, it changed my life completely. I did a 360, maybe not a 360 completely because I'm still in media, but I kind of got tired of heartbreaks. Like, the line, give your heart a break from further heartbreaks. That happened to me. Like, I had an epiphany, like a proper light bulb moment, which told me, after something that happened with my work at that time. And I said, I think I don't want to go back to the same situation. I quit my job. I think it was around June 19th. I remember that day very well. I had a little bit of a quarter life crisis. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something different. So I quit my job. And I said, it's going to take less than 2 months. I'm going to get another job.
Yeah.
So I bustled all my way through. And next thing you know, I heard there was an opening at where I work right now as a Media Limited. And it's a media house, but it was a different position.
Yeah.
So they were looking for sponsorships, promotion and sales and yada, 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 like the whole commercial. I have a background in that in the sense that I do events and I've done a lot of promotions based on my work, especially like my outside work. So I took the leap of faith and I went in and I had like 3 interviews like with different CEOs. Next thing you know, I am working there 4 years later. I am head of promotion, events, and media as a Media Limited, where my job, my life changed. Now, mind you, I was in the front end of things.
Right.
Where, you're doing radio, you're hosting, you have these primetime shows that you're always doing.
You're the face, you're the content.
You're the face, you're the content. You're producing, you're presenting. Now, I'm on the back end.
So you're analyzing the faces and the content.
You're analyzing and you're getting more insights and understanding the pattern of the business. This makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to people. Like in the front end, you're more with the passion. You're aligned with a dream and a goal that drives you every day.
Right.
But when you get in the back end, like what I'm doing right now, I want to understand numbers. What is the rhythm? The algorithms that set the rhythm.
Right.
How do we move? How was it last year? Same season. How are we going to make it better next season?
Yeah.
Which one to work with? Vet, interview, do this, do that.
So more strategic, more logical. More rational.
Yeah.
Versus less passion, creative.
I mean, passion is like my love.
Right.
It's my thing.
Yeah.
But now you don't trade it off, but you trade it in. You trade other things in as well.
Right.
Like apart from the passion that you have, what other things do you need to put into play?
Right.
To work with?
Do you miss it?
Before that, people really didn't demand a lot from me. They just wanted me to be happy and talk well. But I knew I wanted to say more and I knew I had to think about more things. I want more strategy. Like how do they say it? Like a necessary noise or a strategic noise or
Ah.
voice that would come out. When we sit down, like, how do we do it? Align, execute, deploy. How do we do it? Pre, during, post. How do we do these things? Yeah.
Karibu Kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure. So you knew you wanted to get into promotion and events?
You know, I knew I had a path I needed to follow.
Okay.
And, there's a book I read a few years back when, it's like luck and serendipity, where you're really out there looking for that luck. Waswahili wanakwambia, usiombe tu kupata sura, omba upate bahati. Sasa hivi wanakwambia, and now while reading this, ni kwamba I was looking for luck.
I like how your accent changes when you speak in Swahili.
Thank you. I was out there looking for luck, but I
Yeah.
stumbled upon serendipity, like accidental luck.
Right.
It really just didn't fall into my hands like that,
Yeah.
but it happened.
Right.
And I call it serendipity because when it happened, I embraced it with two arms.
Right.
And I said, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go all throughout. If you check my phone right now, there's a mantra that I'm going with, which has always been there, like, now or never, which kind of resonates to all or nothing. And that's what I've been going with for a while, like whatever test that I'm put up to or that I'm putting on or I'm doing, it's all or nothing, now or never.
Yeah. There was a time in my life where I didn't believe in luck. The older I become, the more I do believe in it. I just don't believe in seeking it. Like, you don't seek luck. It happens to you. And it's more likely going to happen to you if you're prepared for it.
I think it's context and semantics, because luck at times actually comes when you're when you're working hard and you're disciplined. I mean, results will come out.
Right.
Some people actually call that luck, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they call it
for
luck.
some reason.
Yeah.
But luck, it could be a myth. It could be a terminology. It could be whatever. But luck finds you.
Yes.
But sometimes you also have to go there. You have to, it's like you pray for something, but you have to work for it. You get me?
Yes.
Like you pray for like a lot of things like you have right now.
Yes.
But certain things that will happen, like a ripple effect.
Yes.
That will happen in between while you're trying to find your goal.
Yeah.
Those in-betweens could be the luck that you're needing.
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of things that, that you can decide to call it luck or not.
Yes.
So it is also very subjective.
Very subjective.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell me I'm lucky about X and I don't think I'm lucky about that. I do think I'm lucky about something else though.
Very true.
I had a question I wanted to ask.
You're having a light bulb moment. There's a light behind you.
I think I'm having a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with something you said earlier. You said you learned the art of turning off.
Yes.
I can't, I feel like I am on a lot. Because I wear many hats, not in the same context as you maybe, but I wear many hats in what I do.
Yeah.
I'm the thinker, I'm the doer, I'm the planner, I'm the executor, I'm the sales guy, I'm the dreamer as well. So, and I have to take care of a lot of people across different kinds of relationships, especially in my work. So I do feel on a lot and I do get it when somebody says they're on. You, on the other hand, are the different hats almost have to come with changing a personality entirely. Like, for instance, as a radio personality, you're speaking to someone else, but you're not speaking to one, you're speaking to many. And you have an energy that you're trying to give out to the world, hopefully to make it a better place, right? Yeah. And then as a creative, an artistic, person who also does voice gigs, your energy has to change, right? I remember being in the studio one day and we were trying to do something with, what's his name?
A voice artist?
No.
A singer?
No, a rapper.
A rapper.
The guy who does events in Masaki. Joe Legendary?
Joe Legendary.
Unakumbuka?
I know him.
Unakumbuka school because today we were trying to record something and the inflections in the voice were not working. Kabisa. Yeah. That was so much work. It was so difficult. I really appreciated what you do. So you do that and then you were hosting events, corporate and non-corporate. So how did you learn that art of turning off?
Give you a little bit of context. Doing radio, which, for example, there was a time I used to do like the late night show. So I used to call Dr. Love, which gave me a lot of traffic, by the way, like on my timeline, my nene. So it gave me unnecessary attention, which is okay for business, but it takes a toll on your personal life as well.
Yeah.
But then you have to move from there. You have a big corporate event with like a multinational where people expect you to speak the lingo, talk the talk, walk the walk.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be the same Dr. Love, blah, blah, blah. You're going to go in, put up your briefcase, wear your suit, be proper. Now, at the same time, you have your voice gigs and what you're doing. Today, you're told to be a child. So you have to dramatize your voice as a child. Today, you're being told, kwamba, we ni msela, unaenda sehemu unabidi uwe msela. So you're changing your voice to be that gangster. Then you're also being told, kwamba, you're going to be in a meeting and you're going to be with a lot of expats that are going to be around there. And you're going to have to present A, B, and C align. Think about the promotion or the events, because I used to do a lot of events back in my days. So I wore different hats. And, I could do it because I remember back in the days when I used to do radio and TV, my working hours was like 4 or 5 hours. But when I shifted my 360 life back in 2019, I decided to do like the commercial side.
Yeah.
I changed. I started working 10, 11, 12 hours. Sometimes I go 14 hours, a lot of hours. Then I said, Seba, you have been on for too long. Turn it off. The world will still move. The world will continue walking, talking, doing business, even if you're not on. And you know what? Because I chose me at a time where I felt tired. I chose me at a time where I felt like I'm enough and I'm doing enough. I don't have to prove to myself. I don't have to prove to the world. The way social media is going fast, LinkedIn, Instagram, everybody's posting they're doing this. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm putting on the table. And I just have to take a seat back, the back seat, and watch other people drive. Now now I'm a leader in the company. I work as head of promotions there. But taking the back seat, I'm also letting my team run.
Right.
Let them walk.
Yeah.
Let them trust them.
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Yeah.
And now you're also going to be moving either.
That's also the only way other people learn and grow with you.
Yes. Yeah. But if you're always going to be on and you want to be aggressive, the person that's running ship, when are you going to let other people run ship? So I toned it down. I had to do it for my sanity. I had to do it for my physiology. I had to do it for the people around me as well, because it's not fun being on. I mean, it's nice and great to say, kwamba, you're the person that get shit done, but it's not fun and great when you are the same person that falls back or falls down and people don't know that you're having a hard time.
But what was the sacrifice of turning off?
The sacrifice of turning off, first of all, I had to turn off the gigs. I used to get calls all the time, man. I used to run my own events, a lot of my own events. I used to do party events. I used to do corporate events. I used to host and organize, like from scratch, from alignment, like creating idea, getting sponsors, doing pitches all the time. But I had to stop because I got tired of changing clothes in my car. I got tired of
you got tired of changing clothes in your car.
Like Superman, you have to find a place where, like from your work clothes, now you have to be more formal. You have to go to a nearby toilet just to change and get your things together, like prep, because last night you're prepping for work that you have to present the next day. Now you have to prep for the external work or extra work that you have. So one of the things that happened when I turned off, I think I kind of got more clarity and more peace, and I perfected my work style, my work life, my 9 to 5. But I did lose. In terms of gigs. Now, mind you, this thing is very clockwork related. Now, when you search, like on your Instagram or when you're working with algorithms, people follow your rhythm. Now, when you kind of the binaries are not showing up, the metrics are not metricing, people stop looking for you.
Yeah.
And, and people kind of ask, what do you do now? I'm like, I'm doing a lot. You're probably not hearing me a lot.
Right.
Or maybe you might hear me, but you don't know it's my voice.
Yeah.
I might be doing events, but you don't know, but I do it once a year.
Yeah.
As compared to what I used to do back then.
Especially in entertainment. You know, in entertainment, people work with busy people.
Busy people.
Yeah.
And like they look at your profile, you're mostly posting, oh, you're traveling here for work, you're traveling there for work. You're just busy doing your 9 to 5. What are you? Are you lazy? No, I'm not lazy, but I choose at the time being, I'm choosing my 9 to 5. Does it make me bad? No, it doesn't. It makes me a person that wants to focus on his division of labor and to specialize on something that I really want to be great at, which is, marketing and the whole commercial bit, because you have to learn the mechanics.
Right.
Mind you, I come from a different background, of which I also studied other things.
Yeah.
Now, like sociology, philosophy, psychology, and now you're doing radio, now you quit radio, then you start doing commercials, and you're learning more about insights and things and different markets. Every other day, you have to learn and learn and learn. So while I was turning off, I was also getting in a lot of knowledge about the business, mechanics, and aligning with different groups and understanding the motion of the ocean.
I have a question for you. So the opportunity cost was losing gigs.
That was it.
Yeah. But also the benefit was a calmer mind, right?
I sleep more now. I sleep. I would say, it's sad saying this, but I do sleep better now. There was a time where I used to tell, I was a chronic insomniac. I would sleep at 4 and wake up at 7 or 6 at times because I think I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
I'm not too proud of that line because I don't think it's a compliment. People use it as a compliment now. I'm an overthinker. No, you need to learn how to detach.
Yes.
You need to learn how to compartmentalize your thoughts, where you don't really need to overthink everything that you're thinking about. Like now, Alicia's right in front of me, looking at those glasses. Why do I have to the frames, the nini, the
I want the lens ikoje.
Like you don't really have to.
Not all the time, yeah.
Not all the time. You really have to compartmentalize your thoughts and things.
Yeah.
So I sleep more right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think more like when I'm doing my 9 to 5. But when I'm off that, I told you, I'm in bed by 8.
Right.
I'm in bed by 8
Right.
and I watch a good series or like a movie, pass out by 10. I am good. A luxury that I never had before.
So my question was, is it possible you were able to also turn off because you could afford to miss some opportunities?
Yes.
Because right? Because the opposite being true, you might have not been able to have the choice of turning off.
Yeah. I mean, very true. One of the reasons why I kind of had to do like 3 or 4 gigs all at once, apart from my day job, is because, to be honest, the money wasn't that big. At the time, it was, maybe it depends. Context-wise, it was kind of big at the time, but it wasn't big.
Majukumu na mengi.
Majukumu ni mengi. The older you grow, the more you realize you got more bills to pay.
Right.
People looking out, people that you're looking after.
You have to take care of.
You have to take care of.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be in the same position that you were in last year or last week. You want to be different. So I've always been a runner. And I don't feel bad. Like right now, I don't feel bad when I'm even working to be on the ground and do things, because I've always, like running is my spirit. Certain people, they like to take, let me be on the side. Let me see how things turn out.
Right.
But I want to understand.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one of the things that I truly love and has humbled me in life is by joining this particular company that I work at right now. I've traveled a lot.
Yeah.
Knowing the market in Tunduru is different from knowing the market in Mwanza. Knowing how people work, operate in seasons and reasons. For example, in Kigoma, it's so different from Dar. At first, I was in a creative block. I was stuck in Dar. Yeah. Where I just see things moving in and out, the hustle and bustle and the muscles of Dar. But you go to a different place where they really just resonate with the season. Kama ni mavuno, depends mavuno.
Everything revolves around that.
Yeah, like what are we doing now?
Yeah.
And how do we harness this harvest? You get me?
Yeah.
Then you kind of start thinking and you plan, okay, so these are the metrics that I'm working with. These are the people that I need to think with. Conceptualize things every other day. Things that I never used to take into consideration as much before, because I was locked in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm all alone, thinking I'm talking to one person, even if it's a million people. but I wasn't seeing them.
Right.
Now I'm on the ground, I'm running, I'm getting dirty, I'm understanding the market, and I'm pushing the envelope.
It must be a very humbling experience too.
You know, that's what I say every day. I am humble. I've been humble for the past 4 years because I don't know, when I meet people like in my previous life,
right.
when I mean my previous life, when I used to do radio, I mean, people see me in a certain light, a certain platform. But now I'm not on that platform. And when I go down and I work and I'm with people and I'm on the ground, I love it because now we are on the here and now. How do we make here and now matter and amount to something greater? And we work as a team. So, you know, it's a compound effect.
Yeah.
If I mess up, I know other people will also deal with my mess up.
Right.
So it's good. It's very humbling, and I'm humbled. Very humbled. Not just by losing gigs.
Right.
But also
by the path.
Yeah, by the path that I've taken.
And the journey thus far. I want to switch the tone a little bit and get a little bit more to the core of the show. So the reason the show is called Msasa is because, you know, in very many ways, there's a lot of stories that are untold before you see what you are seeing. Unajua, that's why kwa mfano kuna zile picha nyingi mtandaoni where you see an iceberg and you see just the tip, but huku chini ni kubwa. And you know, a diamond is rough before it becomes nice and polished. Na saa zingine, we don't even appreciate the struggles we're going through because there are struggles at that point in time. But for instance, I see now more clearer than ever before how just maybe having had to wear that many hats in the context of what you were doing is actually very directly related to what you're doing right now.
Very true.
The ability to move around, the ability to do long hours, the ability to go the extra mile because you have to in order to get some shit done. It makes a lot of sense. For instance, personally, I think the background in events and writing music made me a better communicator and a better planner.
That it is.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was learning marketing until I started doing it for other people. I'm like, oh, I'm good at this. Oh, shit.
I
know? It's amazing. Lakini, I want us to talk a little bit about those untold stories. And I want to ask you, for instance, you know, you talk about 3 Ps, right? Pain, pleasure, and passion. What has been your best failure?
My best failure, I think, happened. Let me segment them. I think my first best failure was my emotional failure. I usually call them my quarter life crisis. So when I quit my first job, that was more emotional. That was me failing myself as well because I'm a trained communicator.
Right.
I'm trained to communicate well in front of people, but I couldn't communicate my thoughts well when I was working. So even when I quit that job, which I really loved, I had quit with, first of all, I failed myself. That's what I felt like.
Okay.
And I failed other people as well.
How?
They in a way, I quit that first job in the pinnacle of my career.
Okay.
And I was doing all the great interviews. P Square is in town, I host them. Sijui Kanu is in town, you host them. Sijui Nani is in town, like you're doing all these big things. And why do you quit?
Why did you quit?
I was tired. Really tired. Like I said, always around, working 7 days a week. And differences in opinions and views and philosophies with companies, and also just not being able to communicate what I think was right. I became better though.
To your team or to yourself?
To the management.
Okay, so did you quit the job or did you quit the boss?
I quit
because a lot
both.
of people quit the boss.
So I maintained the job in a different company,
right?
But I quit. Like I was done. You know, I was so done. I remember I've had creative blocks for a while. Like I remember that time because I'm constantly thinking and creating things. But my boss looked at me. I mean, you know, like maybe you need a break. Maybe we need to add a little money in your salary.
Right.
Take a break. go to Zanzibar. I think it was my first time I went to Zanzibar. So I went to Zanzibar back in that time, like 10 years ago. And after 4 or 5 years of working there, and I thought that my quarter life crisis will come to an end when I go to Zanzibar. So I went to Busara with a friend, and I came back like the day before I went to that office and either say, I'm in it or I'm quitting.
Karibu Kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.
I went to a friend, like a very unlikely friend because we weren't friends. And I went to this lady and she told me, while you're making this decision, ask yourself, I want you to listen to this line. Rather live a life of, oh, well, than what ifs. And that hit me. It hit me so hard because I felt like I was failing myself and I was just low on the ground. And I kept on saying, what if I stay? What if I need? What if I need? And I went into that office and I remember they were telling me that they were going to add probably more money. And the issue wasn't even the money at the time, but it was a bit of money, but it wasn't the money. It was like, passion. Like you're so passionate about something, but your passion is not being felt. And I went into that office and I chose, oh, well, I quit. It sounds idiotic and chaotic to some people, but I chose me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I saw the block and I saw myself falling down.
Mm-hmm.
And weird enough, I took like close to 4 months off. Like I wasn't working. I was a young guy. And imagine 10 years ago, you're taking like 4 months off. Yeah. What are you living on?
Yeah. I think you were also lucky to have had the chance to work in like a structured environment at a very young age.
And I say this very, very proudly. I'm happy that my failures happened in my younger days.
Right.
Because I've had a lot of disappointments and failures that I feel like if it hit me in my mid-40s or in my 50s, heart attacks, diabetes, hypertension, and all the above. I don't wish that for myself or anybody, but you feel like the more you experience these things at a later stage in life, the more it kind of hits you. Yeah. The more that you can.
The harder it is to recover.
As a young person, I always say younger people have thicker skin because they can pick up and go when they want to pick up and go. Now that you get older, as many or few options that you might get, but the keyhole is just getting smaller.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where when I apply for jobs or when I'm going to places, they're looking at my age, credentials, and things like your experience. But when you're younger, you're allowed to mess up.
Yeah, you're allowed to mess up.
I messed up.
Cha muhimu ni kwamba unafundishika.
Yes, no one has someone like fail fast, fail easy, fail whatever. And I did my failure back then.
Okay.
So I reached a zenith of my life where I said, Seba, get up, walk. Smell the coffee, do whatever you got to do. Yeah. Because you've seen how this works. You've seen the drawing board. You've been part of it. You've seen the failure. Umedondoka a couple of times. I've quit my jobs all the time, yani. And it's always documented. Yeah. I was telling you today, before coming here, I was Googling myself. It sounds very vain, but sometimes it's good to Google yourself. I was looking at myself in blogs, like, and I always took time off. Like, I remember when I quit my second job, going to my third job, I took like a year off. Now, that was a proper quarter-life crisis, where I said, I don't really want to work for anybody now. So I just kept on doing gigs and gigs and gigs and gigs, and it kind of worked, but it didn't work enough. But what I say is, coming back to the topic, when I failed, I kind of failed fast, which is good for me. So it kind of allowed me to pick myself up and go to the next item. You're not, this kind of works, but it doesn't always work. I will allow myself, it doesn't work for everybody, to be in my feelings for a few minutes, but I have to get back to factory setting as fast as I can. Yeah. Because pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Pain will always happen to you, but you choose how long you need to suffer. Because it's mindset. You want to be the victim or the villain. Yeah. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? Like, what role do you want to play today? Because it's not easy, and I get it. We go through different narratives. I choose villain every day. You choose villain. But it's all right. Victim is vulnerability. Right. And sometimes it's not even, it's a state of mind. Yeah. But you can choose to step up and say, well, I am going to use this stepping stone to be
something else.
Something new. And that's what I said. I failed fast and I was younger and good enough. I didn't get any, trauma, that maybe a bit of that, but not anything disease worthy to make me suffer right now.
Right.
Because I don't know how I would have handled it in my 40s or 50s.
Right. So the first compartment is emotional.
Emotions.
Well, is there another compartment?
Now, the second compartment is getting my shit together.
What does that mean?
Like now I'm able to define what I am going through.
Okay,
because
okay,
at first,
okay.
you're a bit younger.
Yeah.
And, as a younger person, you kind of pick and choose everything.
Yeah.
Now, later on, you're kind of knowing what you're doing. Now, I kind of stepped up into the ranks of power a bit.
Okay.
Because apart from being a presenter, then I became a content manager. Then I became a station manager at Choice FM. Now, that set me up to a different pace. I worked with more creative people, a bigger unit. Now you're handling a team of professionals that has worked probably 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. And you're this young guy who has amazing ideas, if I do say so myself. And that is a commercial break. But you get me, right?
Yeah.
You're this young guy who has...
When you know. It is what it is.
And your passion, you're driven, and you're always on, you're on.
Yeah.
But it reached a point I was like, I'm tired. Like, I'm really tired. I know my worth. I'm maybe I don't know, but I'm kind of knowing my worth.
Yeah.
And I've woken up.
Yeah.
And I want to smell something better. I want to do something better. The coffee that I'm smelling now, it's not Robusta. It's not Arabica. So ile kahawa yenyewe kutoka Iringa au wapi. Naitaka yenyewe. Strong, whatever, something more substantial. So I took that break and because it didn't make sense to me. And I kind of started understanding my worth. So fast forward 2019, when I said a very strong prayer. One of the biggest prayers I've ever said was, God, I need security and stability in my life. I've felt the passion, I've felt the pleasure, and I've seen and dealt with so much pain. I'm at a point in life where I just need stability and security. Took me 2 months to understand my rhythm, do interviews and stuff, and get my shit together.
At the time, were you doing interviews specifically for marketing kind of gigs?
I was doing everything.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of interviews.
Whatever comes to the table, yeah.
Because again, like I said, fast forward, there's some things that happened in between, but I was still tired. And, and I said this, I wanted to give my heart a break from further heartbreaks. And I still get it till tomorrow. Like, why aren't you back on radio? Like, I posted a picture last week. And your peers are doing A, B, and C. I'm like, by the way, I'm also doing A, B, D, E, and F as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited about my roles.
Yeah.
And the hats that I wear right now.
Yeah.
But security and stability, fast forward, meant me having a more solid ground. Because I was tired of the wishy-washy things that I was going through. As great as they were, the change and abilities that I was putting out. But now I am looking at something that is more stable. Something that doesn't deter or change when mood changes. Now we have looked at a pattern, like what I'm doing right now, 6 months. What are we projecting for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
What are we doing? How's it going to be? I don't have that much time. I got shit to do.
Right.
Let's get this shit done.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's more full force and full throttle right now. It's not as sensitive as how it's sensitive in terms of career and work.
But not as it was when you were younger.
Like the creative and the passion where you're like, I gotta do this.
My ideas, your ego.
You go in like a Rambo, like an emotional Rambo who's there. You're like, I'm gonna patch things up.
Yeah.
Now you wanna get shit done.
Clearly you're not afraid of failure.
I'm not, because I failed too many times. I mean, I was great in school, but I did fail as well at times when I wasn't able to accept them because at the time vulnerability was weakness.
Yeah.
I grew older and I realized, it's power. Yeah. Even me sitting right next to you now and telling you I failed in certain aspects. It's me coming, looking at my demons right in front of me and telling them, you know what? I can live above you.
Yes.
Amen. You might not leave my brain, like the demons will always be around you, but I can live above them.
Yeah. Yeah. You are your own worst enemy.
I am my own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Now,
part of the reason many of us fear failure is because we fear criticism. Like, what is somebody else going to think about me?
Yeah.
Nikifeli nitaonekanaje na mwenzangu au na wenzangu au na mzazi wangu au na mke wangu, mume wangu, etc. did that happen to you, and how did you deal with criticism at that point in time?
It happened to me a lot, by the way, because, as much as I hate to admit this, I've always been like a public figure in a way.
Why would you hate to admit that?
No, because I don't see myself as that.
Okay.
If I do admit it, it's like I'm driven by vanity. So my work does entail a lot of vanity, so it makes sense. But
yeah,
I've always been, if I quit, it'll be talked about. If I'm on a new job, they will talk about it. They will always talk about it. But like I said, I had to understand that, Seba, it's enough. You are enough. They will talk, man. But when you pass over and you move on to the next world or whatever it is, you will not move with these thoughts. You will not move with that body. You will not move with the people around you.
Right.
So you have to be secure and stable enough with your own skin and to be able to move with that narrative as strong enough, as good enough, and to accept to move on to the next step. So families talked a lot. Friends talked, blogs talked, ex-employees ex-workmates talked. But it didn't really stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And I'm still trying to find my purpose. It's not like I've reached the element of my life.
Right.
I'm part of that process. But I will still move, whether people will talk or not. But as long as I'm on a clear right path, which is very subjective, but as long as I'm doing something that makes sense, stable, security, and but there's passion into it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for somebody going through failure right now, what would you advise them?
In whatever stage that you're in terms of age, in terms of mindset, in terms of bank checks as well, failure is inevitable. It always plays out in whatever facet you're in. Economy, religion, love, and we go through this every day. But you have to find acceptance. You have to find acceptance in the failure that you're going through. And you have to find a solution to make sure that your suffering will not be the biggest scene of your life.
Right.
Because it's just a scene.
It's just a chapter.
It's a chapter.
Yeah.
But if you want to make it a book, it can be a book. But if you want to make it a chapter or a page, it can be a page. Because like what we talked about luck, like you have to move within the process. I'll tell you one thing, Amber, you probably know, you might not know. Creatives and a lot of people, they're the most saddest people in the world.
Yeah.
The most saddest people. Because our jobs is to make best sounds, great pictures, amazing videos, great campaigns. But who's making campaigns to make us feel good?
No one.
And when you sit down back in your room and you're like, oh shit, I'm not enough. It's never enough because there's always somebody else creating better thought, better idea, create products, amazing push. The synergy is amazing. Online, offline, ATL, BTL, they're doing everything. But then you come back to yourself, I wish I did this.
Yeah.
I will always push myself to break the glass ceiling, push the envelope. But whatever I will do, I will consider I was enough.
Amen.
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 Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Asante sana, Seba.
Thank you for making me open up to things that I don't usually talk about, by the way.
Yeah. I remember speaking to a friend I went to uni with. And then akaniambia, unafanya nini siku hizi? Nikamwambia I'm in marketing and advertising. Akaniambia, you're in the business of rejection. Good for you.
The nose, right?
Yeah. Si mchezo. Yeah. Seba, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was a very good use of my time.
Yeah.
I hope it was for you as well.
I had an amazing time. I would say this was cathartic, very very spiritual.
Yeah.
As mental and emotional as it was, but it was very, very spiritual. Because being able to experience and express what one feels or thinks in a very open, candid way is very, very cathartic.
Yeah.
Very, very opening and sharing and understanding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karibu Kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.